Random House Audio presents The Jefferson Key by Steve Barry. Read for you by Scott Brick. The Congress shall have power to grant letters of marque and reprisal, and make rules concerning captures on land and water. Constitution of the United States, Article 1, Section 8. Privateers are the nursery for pirates. Captain Charles Johnson, 1724. Prologue. Washington, D.C., January 30th, 1835, 11 a.m. President Andrew Jackson faced the gun aimed at his chest. A strange sight, but not altogether unfamiliar, not for a man who'd spent nearly his entire life fighting wars. He was leaving the Capitol Rotunda, walking toward the East Portico, his somber mood matching the day's weather. His Treasury Secretary, Levi Woodbury, steadied him, as did his trusted walking cane. Winter had been harsh this year, especially on a gaunt, 67-year-old body. He'd ventured from the White House only to say goodbye to a former friend, Warren Davis of South Carolina, elected twice to Congress, once as an ally, a Jacksonian Democrat, the other as a nullifier. His enemy, the former Vice President John C. Calhoun, had concocted the nullifier party, its members actually believing that states could choose what federal laws they wanted to obey. The devil's work was how he'd described such foolishness. There'd be no country if the nullifiers had their way, which he supposed was their entire intent. Thankfully, the Constitution spoke of a unified government, not a loose league where everyone could do as they pleased. People, not states, were paramount. He hadn't planned to attend the funeral, but thought better yesterday. No matter their political disagreements, he'd liked Warren Davis, so he'd tolerated the chaplain's depressing sermon. Life is uncertain, particularly for the aged, then filed past the open casket, muttered a prayer, and descended to the rotunda. The throng of onlookers was impressive. Hundreds had come to glimpse him. He'd missed the attention. He'd just completed the impossible, paying off the national debt, satisfied in full during the 58th year of the Republic, in the 6th year of his presidency, and several in the crowd hollered their approval. Only 2 more years were left in office, and then his career would be over. He'd been coy about the possibility of a 3rd term. If nothing else, the prospect of him running again kept his enemies at bay. In fact, he harbored no intentions of another term. He would retire to Nashville, home to Tennessee and his beloved Hermitage. But first there was the matter of the gun. The well-dressed stranger pointing the single-shot brass pistol had emerged from the onlookers, his face covered in a thick black beard. As a general, Jackson had defeated British, Spanish, and Indian armies. As a duelist, he'd once killed in the name of honor. He was afraid of no man. The young man pressed the trigger. The hammer snapped. Its percussion cap detonated. A bang echoed off the rotunda's stone walls, but no spark ignited the powder in the barrel. Misfire. The assailant seemed shocked. Jackson knew what had happened. Cold, damp air. He'd fought many a battle in the rain and knew the importance of keeping powder dry. Anger rushed through him. He gripped his walking cane with both hands like a spear and charged his attacker. The young man tossed the gun away. A second brass pistol appeared, its barrel now only inches from Jackson's chest. The gunman pressed the trigger. Another retort from the percussion cap, but no spark. A second misfire. Before Jackson's cane could jab the assailant's gut, Woodbury grabbed one arm, the Secretary of the Navy the other. A man in uniform leaped on the gunman, as did several members of Congress, one of them Davy Crockett from Tennessee. Police appeared, and the man was jerked to his feet. Crockett handed him over to the officers and proclaimed, "I wanted to see the damnedest villain in this world, and now I have." The gunman babbled something about being the King of England and having more money once Jackson was dead. "We must leave," Woodbury whispered to him. "That man is obviously insane." He did not want to hear that excuse. No insanity. There was a plot, and that man was a tool. "Come, sir," his Secretary of the Treasury said, leading him out into the misty morning and a waiting carriage. Jackson complied. He stepped into the carriage. Woodbury followed him inside, and the horses advanced through the rain. He no longer felt cold, or old, or tired. Strength surged through him. Someone had actually tried to kill him. A first for an American president. He glared at Woodbury. "I know who ordered this. They have not the courage to face me. Instead, they send a crazy man to do their bidding." "Who are you referring to?" "Traitors," was all he offered. And there'd be hell to pay. Part 1. 1. New York City, Saturday, September 8th, the present, 6:13 p.m. One mistake was not enough for Cotton Malone. He made two. Error number 1 was being on the 15th floor of the Grand Hyatt Hotel. The request had come from his old boss, Stephanie Nell, through an email sent 2 days ago. She needed to see him in New York on Saturday. Apparently the subject matter was something they could discuss only in person. He'd tried to call anyway, phoning Magellan Billet headquarters in Atlanta, but was told by her assistant she's been out of the office for 6 days now on DNC. He knew better than to ask where. DNC. Do not contact. That meant, don't call me, I'll call you. After he discovered what Stephanie wanted, he and Cassiopeia Vitt had decided to make a New York weekend of the trip, with dinner and a show. They'd flown from Copenhagen yesterday and checked into the St. Regis, a few blocks north of where he now stood. Cassiopeia chose the accommodations, and since she was also paying for them, he hadn't protested. Plus, it was hard to argue with regal ambiance, breathtaking views, and a suite larger than his apartment in Denmark. He'd replied to Stephanie's email and told her where he was staying. After breakfast this morning, a key card for the Grand Hyatt had been waiting at the St. Regis's front desk, along with a room number and a note that read, "Please meet me at exactly 6:15 this evening." At the Grand Hyatt, he inserted the key card, noting and ignoring the Do Not Disturb sign. The room's interior was spacious. It occupied a corner, 2 windows facing East 42nd Street, another offering views west toward Fifth Avenue. The rest of the decor was what would be expected from a high-class, midtown Manhattan hotel. Except for 2 things. His gaze locked on the first, some sort of contraption fashioned from what appeared to be aluminum struts, bolted together like an erector set. It stood before one of the front windows, left of the bed, facing outward. Atop the sturdy metal support sat a rectangular box, perhaps 2 feet by 3, it too made of dull aluminum, its sides bolted together and centered on the window. More girders extended to the walls, front and back, one set on the floor, another braced a couple of feet above, seemingly anchoring the unit in place. A short barrel poked from the front of the box. There seemed no way to search its interior, short of unbolting the sides. Sets of gears adorned both the box and the frame. Chains ran the length of the supports, as if the whole thing was designed to move. He reached for the second anomaly. An envelope, sealed, with his name on it. He glanced at his watch. 6:17 p.m. Where was Stephanie? He heard the shrill of sirens from outside. With the envelope in hand, he stepped to one of the room's windows and glanced down 14 stories. East 42nd Street was devoid of cars. Traffic had been cordoned off. He'd noticed the police outside when he'd arrived a few minutes ago. Something was happening. He knew the reputation of Cipriani across the street, a former bank built in Italian Renaissance style, leased out for elite social gatherings. Just such an event seemed to be happening this evening, important enough to stop traffic, clear the sidewalks, and command the presence of half a dozen of New York City's finest, who stood before the elegant entrance. 2 police cars approached from the west, lights flashing, followed by an oversized black Cadillac DTS. Another New York City police car trailed. Two pennants rose from either side.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?